Okay, this you saw last time. I just wanted to keep it in here. This is where we left off. This is where the sort of orientation of the house currently sits in all of the model views that you're going to see. And on the right here is the little angular diagram. So the house, that main wing of the house is rotated 45 degrees from east-west or vice versa.
Got it. Cool.
So that's where the geometry is now. It's not super precious, but it felt good in the model to me. And anyway, that's sort of our starting point.
Okay.
And the reason it is like that is for an experience like this, which is our forced hug moment. So it's everything we're doing in the designs you're going to see is because of is to achieve this.
And Mark, you've moved out, and Dana found someone else.
I was just going to thank Ben for his comments on my future hairstyle possible.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that more than we build this house and then Dana dumps me for some other long-haired woman. I mean, if you're going to dump me, do it for a long-haired woman, but still.
Make that note.
Yeah. So coming up here, I have there's gonna be a lot here. So Mark and Dana, slow me down, ask a million questions. I was also bring it on. Also, like over the next week and a half, feel free to like send me a quick note or question, because like I'm not expecting you guys to make a lot of decisions today, but there's going to be a lot for you to think about. So the first bit is floor plans, and I did another mashup screen here. So they're all sorted by color, and these were my initial reactions at option potentials, and then I ended up modeling sort of a bit of a mishmash of some of these, and we'll get to the model after we go through these floor plans, and then I can show you some view sequences. Okay, so these are all just color related, and there's a lot of schemes in the warm tones. I apologize. I had to call one lilac.
Color kind of people too. Just like pro tip about the client environment here.
Well, when we get it finalized versions, we'll have like, blue and purple.
Blue and purple, yeah, it's still available, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I want to switch though now over to my live program, so I can. So these are in the same order as the slides.
Yeah. Oh no, there's blue and purple already.
Okay, let's see if we can see this. Yes. Okay, so one variable in all the schemes is where should I draw this here? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kitchen. This let's call L for living. Let's call this C for craft. So in every scheme, I have different placements of those. So that has one variable that's changing, and also your O for office, Mark, I think shows up sort of along this line in every scheme.
Okay.
I'm just trying to go over some of the variables. A variable for like the bedroom wing is whether the sort of entry hallway to that wing is on the left side, is in the middle, or if it's on the right. And those all sort of influence the degree of privacy to your bedroom wing and different layouts of spaces and stuff. And I'm also focusing on the top floor because it's the most complex, I believe. And I just modeled one version of the lower level because I just felt like we can go over options there later. I don't think they're the driver. I think the driver is what's going on the top floor. So now that we talked about those variables. Yeah.
What does this scheme imagine is the thing in the door immediately to the left as you enter the bedroom wing?
Sorry, this is your gaming room. So that shows up in a lot of schemes too.
Figured out what to do with that shape. Okay.
Well, this one's particularly awkward, but that is sort of a floating program that kind of pops around and tries to fit in.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Laundry, I've only been partially successful at showing in these plans. That's kind of it shows up in some, but it's not super thorough. And then I'm also always trying to include a powder room at least. Well, actually, it's always a powder room so far, in addition to your main bath on this level.
So we're assuming that we're going to end up with a 2.5 bathroom house is kind of the plan.
That's currently, I'm showing. There's a full bath.
Yeah, that wasn't a complaint. That makes sense. I mean, I think we're going to have a master bath, some full bath so that guests don't have to use our shower, and then the powder room. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. To me, it is a question worth just talking about maybe at some point, is if this level wants a full bath or not, or if a powder is okay. And
I mean, I think there's only ever going to be one bedroom on this floor, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's true.
I think that makes sense.
To me, like the only reason I would think about a full bath is just sort of dumb, but it's like your office is technically a bedroom on this level, and for future value, if someone wanted to take a shower and they were using that bedroom, they'd be able to on this level. But I think a powder makes more sense for your life right now. And then downstairs we have a full bath, and we're sort of taking care of the guest experience downstairs. And I think it feels appropriate to have a powder on this level.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
The other bit of program that shows up within your craft space in a lot of these schemes is like a mini couch and the TV watching experience. So that thing sort of moves around, but I think in most of my schemes, it's close to the craft area. So we can look for that as well.
No, I think that makes sense.
Okay. So I'll just go through this scheme. So what this does is a lot of the schemes I have the kitchen on the left side, but I think what this scheme does is you come up the stairs and you're like, in a way you're waiting. It's almost like a little bit this procession. Like if you're coming up, like say you invite someone over, like they're coming up the stairs and there's sort of more of an experience to get to the sort of wow moments of this main living experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I am like the degree to which the craft space is walled off on this side is a total question. It could be very open. It could be partially closed. I'm not really making a big judgment about that, but it's sort of like your.
So if I can give you a little bit of feedback on that.
Yeah.
My thought is in this scheme, I think it wants a little bit of a divider, but that in other schemes, I'm not going to feel that way. If the craft room is the first thing you're presented with as you top the stairs as a guest, I feel like I want that a little bit protected.
Yeah, great point.
But that, like, in terms of how we're going to live day to day, if it's open to sort of our living space, I think that's fine. So in other schemes where it's not what you're immediately presented with at the top of the stairs, I don't think it needs that divided.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess the other attribute about this is your office is kind of a destination office for you. It's the furthest from your bedroom. It's the biggest trek.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just explore that extreme. And it also, your office would be able to sort of take advantage of the corner views sort of better than other schemes, because the kitchen goes on this left side in other schemes, and it's a little bit harder to take advantage of the corner view in those.
Just because the kitchen can't take advantage of it as well?
Yeah, just because that kitchen, that wall sort of wants more functionality.
Yeah, no, because you want cabinets. I get it. Okay.
Yeah. I also think there's something sort of cool about on the kitchen side. The uniqueness of the angle and potentially like an organic island is sort of interesting to me. In the other schemes, everything is sort of straight and regular, but I think like the kitchen gets this funky corner, and I think that's kind of cool in the scheme.
Okay.
It makes, and then why I left justified the hall to your primary is because it sort of has to go there, because you don't want it can't go super, it seems weird to be super close to your kitchen. So I think this is the only scheme with a sort of left justified hallway to get to your primary suite.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna move on because we can go through these sort of quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this scheme, you come up the stairs and the
Which color scheme are you looking at then?
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Kitchen,
Yeah.
dining, living, and then that's sort of the spatial break. And there's some sort of divider thing here with a TV in it for TV viewing from the chairs. And your craft space is relatively small in this scheme. And like, that's definitely a variable, like what this width is and how much give and take, how much we want to give to that versus give to the main living space. So that's like a stretchable variable in a lot of these. Your office goes to the corner, which I think is a cool space for your office. And we've talked about that.
And in this, your assumption is that the office is on the wall to your left as you enter, as compared to on the wall to your right.
Your desk.
Yeah,
I've put it here on your office is going to show up here in a lot of plans. I wanted, because this wall I'm seeing is relatively solid, so I didn't want the glare issue on your monitors. I wanted you to be on a somewhat the wall opposite something solid. If your desk was here, you're starting to get the glare from that light.
Would it be so much cooler to sit there?
So much cooler to sit here.
Yeah.
Well, what I like about sitting here is that you get to look directly. Like that view is pretty sweet to your right.
Yeah, but Tessa found that, like, there's a really cool look that is actually straight out there. There's a void between the trees in the mid-story and above.
Yeah.
So you get this deep look, and it's sort of a tunnel through the foliage.
Yeah.
So, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Noted.
Okay. I guess another variable that didn't show up in the first game is like what this projection is in the back. And where you see lines, I'm suggesting a deck, because an implication of this reverse floor plan where you're living on the top floor is like your barbecue and how important that is to you to be on this level, in which case it has to be on a deck near the kitchen. And if it's not, if this is all, say, just part of the internal space and it's just a pop out, like I showed in that rendering, then your barbecue is going on the terrace that's on the first
I
floor.
have to go up and down the stairs with my burgers. Yeah.
So
I mean, if you find something really cool to do on this floor and I gotta hump up and down the stairs with a steak, I'll get over it. But I agree that it's nice to have it right there.
so
Just a little grill and a window right outside the kitchen.
Some people have a window box. I have a window grill.
that would be cool. It's just like
It's like a fire hazard.
yeah, it seems like the smoke might just suck into your house. But the idea of like this pop out being partially a deck and partially given to the inside space is interesting to me. Like
Okay.
here, I made sort of like a little conversation snug out of it, so it's an extension of the living room. And I think the depth of something that would actually be a deck has to be at least 5 feet deep or something like that. In the rendering I showed you, that was more shallow. It was like a 3 or 4 foot projection.
Right.
In the kitchen, I have sort of a shallow like work surface here that I thought would be something you could sit at. And I'm trying to work within this depth to fit in the island and proper clearance around that. But I think this would be a cool experience to sit here and to look out.
Okay. And so that puts us in a place where we have sort of a narrow island.
Yeah. Yeah, it does make for a narrower island. It also, like in what I'm showing, I didn't feel like I had a lot of luxury in this counter. Oh, maybe you could do it to put both the sink. Like this really wants the sink and the cooktop, I think, just because of the venting issue with putting cooking in the island. I'd rather have nothing in your island. So anyway, just consider that.
Okay. And is the X out shape in all the kitchens the fridge?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a pretty long table, so like the rough dimension of that table that shows up in all these schemes is like 3 feet wide by like 11, 12 feet long. It's always a monster, just for scale. Just know that those are like large. But I felt like
how long our existing dining room table is.
It's not as long. You can get 3 people to each side comfortably and 1 at each end, but this is showing 4. So
Yeah.
I mean, these would fit even 5. Like these are monster tables, scale wise. I was just thinking that that's Dana's class table, so it wants to be extra generous.
And even if we don't have a table that takes up that entire space, having more room to move around it is better than less. So
Like just sort of back to the rendering with a photo in it. Like really, like the space we have to get right is this. Like this is why we're building the house. This is the moment that has the most precious like relationship with the outside.
Yeah.
I think that's where we want the spirit of generosity in the layout.
Mm-hmm.
On the primary suite side, another left justified guy. That's like an example of a laundry room option. That's your game room. And in this is sort of like a sort of L-shaped layout for your actual bedroom space. So like that is the bathroom. This is the walk-in closet.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
I do enjoy the way the game room door is like right across from the office.
Yeah.
Mark and just like
This is Mark's wing of the house up there.
Yeah.
We shut him in there when he's problematic. It's fine. He's got all his toys. He's mostly entertained.
or you can gaze longingly across the hall as you're working. Which is
Exactly.
One other note here, and just something to think about, is that I'm not sure what all you imagine being in the craft space in terms of like where storage goes in there. But one thing to consider is that in a scheme like this, what you currently have as the laundry room, you could alternatively try and put a closet there that is like the craft storage. It may well be that the craft space has enough intrinsic storage, we don't need that. But it's an option for some of those schemes where the craft space gets compressed.
It's a great point.
So like
Yeah, these are
more
both
stuff
these.
at hand.
Well, this had that's kind of in contrast to like the generosity of this craft space. There's like storage potential galore. In this one, it's pretty condensed. So you're right that finding some alternate areas would be good. I also have this could be a combination actual coat closet and craft storage as well along that wall.
Yeah. And is the assumption in both of these that we're just going to have enough cabinet space in the kitchen that we don't have a pantry?
A pantry shows up in some other schemes. That's a variable too. Yeah. I felt like because of the U shape, there's a lot of surface area there for storage, but there are some pantries in other schemes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hot pink. This is the only one with a switchback stair. So what that does is make this craft space at the end sort of more private because no one's ever passing by it. In all the straight stair schemes, like you're walking along the entire length of the house, basically no matter what. In this is sort of like a destination craft experience at the end. You come up the stairs and you're just immediately in the living dining space. So that's your kitchen sort of work table. This is a pantry.
Mhm.
And the access to your office is on the glazing side. So it's actually the powder moves to the far end where your old office entry was. Laundry feels fine here, and then this is a centered corridor for the primary suite.
So the gaming room's sort of in that odd shape again,
Yeah.
closet, bathroom. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
And this is the larger format of the bedroom that includes a seating area,
Yeah.
library space.
Right. It's long because this is 22 feet.
Yeah.
So your bed can go at one end, and then basically you have a mini living room at the other end.
Yeah. I just have a realistic understanding of how many large walls without a window in them are going to survive without a bookcase in our living area. I just feel like I've known Dana for long enough to know how those walls turn out.
I mean, now we use some of those big walls for art, so you know.
That's true. Yeah. Could put Yosemite over there. Okay. So
Let me just quickly talk about the pop out experience here.
Mhm.
This is sort of so this is the goggles, the two separate pop outs. So this is in your craft space, and that is for a table. So you're like working directly in the north light, which I think is pretty cool, and that's relatively rare in some of these floor plans. This line is just showing like an architectural connection, because I'm not sure two goggles from the outside looks great. It's some sort, maybe there's something unifying, like the roof over these sort of connects them. And then this is your mini deck experience with a grill for the kitchen. Or it's all one. I mean, it could also just all, this could all be interior space here. And this could be like a bench that feels like a conversational bench, part of the living.
Yeah.
Like that.
What were you
yeah,
saying?
that's cool. So I like what the switchback stair does to how you encounter the second floor.
Yeah.
I think the switchback stair makes more sense if we were going with a scheme that included a walkout underneath. So you can put the other stair underneath the switchback stair, and you don't end up with one of those weird closets that is 6 inches high at the back wall, you know. But like in terms of what it does to this story, I like that.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. It does this one. This one would need its own lower level plan, which I did not do, because that width is where I have like the walkway going to the downstairs bathroom or whatever. But anyway, I don't mind how it turns you around. Like and even if it's in the straight stair scheme, it's like the act of turning around is important, and what that sequence is like, I think can be nice with a straight stair, but we have to be really intentional about it. Can I move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Orange scheme. Orange scheme has a center kitchen. That's the kitchen. Go up the stairs, and the dining table has its own end of the floor plan, which I think is sort of nice, especially for Dana's use of it with teaching. It feels like a little bit more private, and like you're not surrounded by the rest of the house. And it also puts like the actual conversational living room directly adjacent to the kitchen, which feels like how you guys live, as opposed to putting the dining table between those two spaces. I think I do that a lot though in these schemes. Anyway,
I think that's correct.
There's sort of like a U-shaped gesture with the kitchen and the sort of.
What's along the far edge of the house? Is it like, are you imagining closets or shelving or something there at the end, to the other side of the dining table?
Office. Oh,
To the west.
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think that's like that wall we want pretty opaque, so that's just built-in storage.
Awesome.
Okay. And is the thing in the southwest basically like a butler's pantry? Or a little desk, or what is that supposed to represent?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a little writing desk, and it's also where there can be a window back out to the front or something like that.
Good.
No pantry in this scheme, and the kitchen is relatively compact. It has less total surface area than a lot of the other plans. Your office kind of stays with the direction of this angle part of the house, so it's more or less a box instead of a trapezoid. And then this is your craft space in this angled area. Your gaming room kind of works nicely like this.
It becomes a rectangle.
Yeah, it's nice to enter, almost like how you would arrange the powder room. It's like you get to put the chair on one side, TV on the other. And your primary suite is similar to the other L-shaped plan we saw before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Oh, and that's the laundry area within the hallway going into the bedroom.
That's laundry. And then I have this X shows up. This is me. That's not fully figured out, but this is like potential elevator placeholder.
Oh.
We talked about that, but that's not in every scheme. And we just need to talk about how important that is and how that might fit into our final preferred schemes.
I am surprised by the extent that I like that the main space turns.
I like that too.
What
It
main
seems
space
like the
turn?
master bedroom wing is like, if anything's oversized for how you guys use it, it seems like that. And like
Yeah.
making that turn, like stealing a little more space out of there is nice.
Yeah,
Oh, true,
I
like
think this
that.
does kind of a cool. Yeah, that.
Yep.
I think it does kind of a cool thing to the shape of the office. It makes the craft space an interesting shape in a way that I might like less. But like just that the house kind of opens up at that end is
Mhm.
actually seems kind of cool to me. And if you had just described this to me and not shown me the drawing, I think I would have told you that didn't sound great. But like seeing it, I like it a lot more than I expected.
Mhm, mhm.
The magic of floor plans.
Can I move on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever color this is, I think it's called magenta something.
Plum.
Nice. Okay. What's going on here? Okay, so kitchen goes on this end. That's a sort of quasi pantry space.
Okay.
You come up and you're immediately in the social living room, dining space, craft. Your little TV area feels a little bit more private in this.
Mhm.
At the end, and then your office gets this. This is the a straight shot corridor, and then a right justified hall,
Mhm.
which has laundry here, walk-in closet. Still a long bedroom, but the actual bed centered like that. Basically with a solid wall behind it with two openings, one to your closet, one to the bath. What's unique about this scheme is I pushed the stair outside of the wall.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
In order to basically purchase some more usable width to the house here, because your walking corridor can just hug the wall. It's not like it's a miracle. Like in the other schemes, we were using the like 4-foot depth of the stair for a powder room for closet. So here you don't get those along the side, but it would create the feeling of a more open width of a space. And like I'm putting something behind the sofa there to capture that. That could be full height storage. It could just be low storage. Some piece of furniture behind the sofa.
Maybe a
like
bookcase
the
you
powder
can
room.
actually see through.
Location.
What was the question, Tessa?
Yeah, powder
I
room.
like the powder room location in this
Huh.
one. I like that that's an odd little shape. I mean, it's like a perfect thing to be a little funky.
Yeah, I do too. I love how the bathrooms can fit in those spaces.
I mean, I like all that over there because it simplifies plumbing.
Yeah.
No, I mean you got one wet wall.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
mean,
got another one in the kitchen.
yeah, the
Yeah.
kitchen, but still, like that, like really condenses everything down. I mean,
Like
it's
laundry and 2 bathrooms. Yeah.
Can I move on?
Let me ask you one last question about bumping out the stairs.
Yeah.
Would both the upper and the lower landing be enclosed? Like be inside the structure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm scared of this actually from a formal perspective on the outside of the house.
Just because you don't like what that
It just
exterior
it's
stair
adding.
does
Yeah,
to
I think it could end up feeling fussy. You can see when I show you the model.
Yeah.
I didn't model this scheme, but and it might be worth trying. It's just that it adds complexity obviously to the front because all of a sudden something's projecting out. It's also adding square footage basically. And I am like in these I'm just like right at just a little bit over like 3,060 square feet or something like that. So we're definitely within range, but that does basically increase square footage. Okay, I'll move on to green. Okay, green. I'm giving a lot. Well, I'm sort of making added pop out here that like the last game didn't have. So that quote dining table really feels more part of the craft space.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't use it on the daily, then maybe that makes sense because
So
it feels like it's in a larger craft room.
yeah. So like in some ways that's nice, but if you give us that dining room table is
Yeah.
craft storage 20 minutes later and it will never be clear.
But that's fine. I mean,
for your gaming table or for Dana to teach classes.
yeah, it's fine.
Right. And I have the recent experience of having to clear off our dining room table of all my craft shit to run a game. And like, that's a constant struggle.
Right. Yeah. I do think that it puts it in the danger zone there, but I really love it in that little pop out. That's cool. So
Well, the other thing is like, I mean, I would see this as like you guys sharing this. This has the most like you're sitting on this side. That's the most precious experience basically in the house is
Yeah.
2 chairs for your daily craft work. Like
Yeah.
I think that's kind of putting our priority in the right space.
So I agree that having 2 seats facing the pop out with the great view beyond and the northern light, I think that is like should be a key thought in these designs. However, I think if we make it a space that we expect to use for humans who aren't named Mark and Dana, that table is in constant jeopardy.
It is just gonna be really hard to keep it clear and usable for other things.
I mean, personally, I say, who cares? That's what life's about. And,
I mean,
you know,
we've been living that way, but you know,
I just like, and then, maybe on the lower level in the workshop space, well, you said you didn't like the idea of hosting classes there. I was saying there could be a table in there for classes, but
I mean, it just depends on what that space ends up looking like.
Yeah.
So if that ends up being a space where Mark has like a lot of ventilation stuff and it's constantly getting, I don't know, woodworking detritus in there or something like that, then it would be difficult to host needle arts classes in there, but
Dana considers it rude when I require her guests to wear a ventilator.
on this side of the house, like, to me, this feels pretty good. Like the kitchen is at the end. You come up and you're just like immediately in the heart of the kitchen living space. I'm not pushing for these like facing sofas, but that could easily change to any furniture arrangement there. I think there's enough space there to do whatever we want with a furniture layout.
I like that this one gives us a coat closet at the top of the stairs, which I didn't see in the other ones, and is like a very small footprint thing, but it's just kind of a nice feature of this.
I like that this one gives a good opportunity for the television in the living room also, with a different furniture arrangement, but that there's this wall. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Like if doing something similar on each side is pretty flexible.
And I love what this does to the master. This feels like the most interesting master to me. And I like that the laundry is through the closet in this one, because something that's just how you guys use it, how it works for you. And the bedroom feels super private.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like the master in this.
Yeah, so it's a good point.
I do too.
So I think that this arrangement of the laundry and the closet does very much reflect how we live.
Yeah.
I think the downside to doing it this way does not exist in our current life. But if we ever have someone else who needs to use that laundry, they gotta walk through our closet to get to it because it is the only access to it.
I think, I mean, I would really recommend us putting at least like some laundry downstairs. So I think that solves that.
Yeah, and I mean, if we built an ADU and had, the live-in assistants in the ADU, they'd have their own laundry, and that's fine. So yeah,
I think a downstairs laundry kind of solves that. I mean, it could be efficiency, it could be a combo washer dryer, it could be a stacked unit downstairs, but I think that's probably smart.
Yep.
Okay. I will show you. Oh, I didn't even. Oh, yeah, I did. This is a half-assed, half-baked idea, but it's shoving the whole garage wing together. It's just sliding it in, and I have not explored this fully. At all, really. Your main bedroom would end like here. This is your bed.
So show me on the lower level where the garage is, what direction they would.
Yeah, the garage on the lower level, I sort of would have something like this. Like these are the cars.
Oh, got it. I see.
And this becomes like a sort of, and then the main entry door to the whole house would be like here.
Got it.
You're kind of in a covered entry that feels really close to the garage door, which is weird. But it's a covered space and could feel nice. The approach of doing this, and I think this moves the house on the site though further toward the street because you're just like blowing into a bunch of the trees right there.
Yeah.
But the advantage is
setback situation changes.
it gives your bedroom some like dope views. And it sort of lets all the functions in the main bar spread out a little bit more because like I have your office here, for example. I don't know, felt like it just gave a little bit more breathing room to the main functions of the bar. I'm not super promoting this. I'm probably just confusing you more than not, but like that's an example of something we could try, but that's a bigger change from where I've sort of started.
So my feedback here is that if it makes sense to explore this as a different footprint, fair enough. But my one sort of immediate reaction to this floor plan is that I don't think that we want the office to share a wall with the bedroom. Because I sometimes have to get up and have meetings before Dana wants to be out of bed.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Although, I mean, there may be more wall sensitivities than just that. I mean, there's details you can do construction wise to make that pretty bulletproof, but
I understand.
I hear you.
But like a certain amount of separation between where I sleep and where I work is not a bad thing in my book for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, I'm just going to jump into what I actually modeled, and that is here. So we're going to start downstairs.
I knew it was going to be green.
Okay, so I'm trying to mark up here. Okay, so this is the main stair that you've seen and everything else, but you come in, this is your main entry door. This is your garage, the door to the garage. That's your door to the studio. So that's your workshop. However you want to slice and dice these rooms is like.
And that's some combination of storage, utility.
Yeah, I imagine your gun safe going there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's enough room there to do stuff. And then I did put, a bank of closet storage space in the garage itself. And anyway, the main part of this is that you take this chunk of usable space that's not circulation, that's not the bathroom, which is here, and you divide it between a karate palace and a fairly, yeah, that's the dojo, and then this is it's like a somewhat generous bedroom that would be the guest bedroom experience.
Just I gotta close the door.
So Ben, if I could just request, if you're doing models like this, the car on the right, rotate 180 degrees. No, just because one of the things I am thinking about as I look at this is the fact that the way we park our cars means that we both exit the car to the center of the garage. And it then tells me something about the experience of getting from the driver's seat of the car to that door. And like, are you walking around one car or the other, or is it in the middle or whatever? And it like,
cool, yeah. Will do. I think that for this downstairs experience, obviously, like this is very precious. What it's like to enter the house there, to not have it like it's got to feel generous. It's got to feel nice. I think space-wise, I have that going. Like this to me, I feel like is a generous width. There's like that could be a bench with coat hooks above it or whatever. Like there's space here. I think this can be a coat closet. Each bedroom I think has enough storage. And then I've given like extra space to the karate room, Dana, and you'll have to tell us. I have here, let me just quickly show you that in the PDF presentation I took these floor plans and added dimensions to them so you guys can understand. So for example, the dojo currently is 18 feet long by 12 feet 4.
Great.
So it's up to you design wise, how do you want to slide this left and right it's not really affecting things, and you can decide what dimensions you think feels right.
No, those guests have enough space. I like it.
Yeah. It makes sense for that to be sort of the dominant space.
Right.
The bathroom is in the corner here. The toilet is tucking into the potentially a sloped ceiling space under the stairs. But that's the shower.
Okay.
So anyway, what I think is important is for the guest bedroom to be closest to that bathroom, so it feels somewhat private to them, but the bathroom still has to be accessible, I think, to the general floor as well. So yeah. Because that's what, if you're down in the workshop, you'll use that bathroom.
Sure.
Okay, so that is the lower level. Okay, upper level. Okay. Kitchen, pantry. You come up the stairs, you get that little bench moment.
Mm-hmm.
If you look to your left, that's sort of like the view out to the front to see who's coming. One long pop out that is just part of this main dining and living space.
mm-hmm.
And this looks a little different. Obviously, like I just forced one scheme that I thought felt good into the model because these dimensions are obviously like now dimensions are much tighter than my loose sketches. So if scales feel a little bit different, like that's the whole purpose for just like forcing one scheme into model reality. That's the sort of center dividing wall between your living and craft spaces. Mark, I keep putting like a table behind the couches because like instead of doing a card table, that is your card table. It's just like permanently set up to be able to watch the TV and work on your art at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's like a chair to the other side. Like there's a couch and there's a table and then there's a little chair also facing the TV.
Here.
There's 2 chairs.
Yeah.
2 chairs.
Yeah. I mean, he only drew one, but
Yeah.
You need to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And then, however we want to arrange, I think there's enough floor footprint here to like work in storage and tables in your craft space. And the scheme has your office at the end. So it's sort of like a mini hook in terms of this hallway. Like you come down and then it hooks a little bit later. That's your game room.
Mhm.
The powder room gets that little nook. And I have not figured laundry out in this scheme. And I think that like the most awkward part of this is this bedroom wing and how these rooms are arranged. But I think that's also like quite easy to solve. I guess
plenty of leg room for a tall person laying down in that bed.
Yeah. What would be helpful to know is that you do not want this like mini living room experience in your bedroom, or if a space like that is something you guys want. Because obviously like this does work if this is an attractive mini lounge for you guys.
I think that those are more useful in houses where there are more people living there.
Say when you're trying to avoid your children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean-
we have a chair in our bedroom currently, and I just use it to put all of my crap on. So
Yeah.
like I don't know that we need to allow that much floor space for our chairs that have the clothes that are not quite dirty yet.
Yeah.
To live on.
I think spaces like that are really cool.
Mhm.
And I am willing to sacrifice almost literally nothing in the rest of the house in order to get it.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's just not all that
If we
important.
ended up with enough space in the bedroom for that, it would be cool to set up, but it's not a priority for us because we have so many other places to sit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I agree 100%. So I think that, yeah, anyway, the arrangement of programming in that wing to me is quite easy, and we could, for now, pick one of the other schemes that we thought worked better. But okay, let me move on.
So just one other quick bit on this. The thing that happens at the end of the hall there between the office and the game room,
Yes.
I still think that's a cool gesture, but I'd like to feel like that space was in an area where you'd ever really be. You were just passing through. So in the version where it ended up making the craft space sort of a weird shape, but it was like part of the craft space, I think I like that more than it just glaring at the end of a hallway where like
Where it
Okay,
influenced the
that's
whole,
interesting,
the
but-
whole end of the house. You liked it more?
yeah, I liked it when it felt like it was part of a room rather than part of a hallway.
Mm-hmm. Was it the green one?
Yeah.
No, it was the orange one.
That one, yeah. So there, the spot where it flares out, you're not really going to put anything in that space, but it feels like part of that room, right? It makes that room feel bigger. Whereas in the 3D model, it just makes the end of the hall feel bigger, which is like interesting. Like I think it looks interesting, but I don't think it
Yeah.
really enhances my experience of the space.
Okay, sure. I mean, I think looking at like this kink happening earlier is definitely in play. I mean, I don't personally, I kind of like this sort of eddy moment at the end of the hallway. I think that could be a super cool built-in piece of millwork. I think having like, whatever, picking the best sort of window shape and size to sort of be a focal point there could be really successful. But I
I mean,
think
if the result is that it makes it feel like the hallway isn't a claustrophobic experience, I don't suffer from claustrophobia, but like I understand that not everyone loves the idea of the walls hugging them all the time. That like, fair enough.
Okay, so
One other quick question for you. You've just got a couple of things that have been shown outside in all of these drawings. Can you just tell me what they are? What are these two little rectangles to the right?
that's trash, and that's a total question mark for us to talk about.
No, we need somewhere to put those cans, so that's great.
Yeah.
And then these other things are like, what is this shape in the sort of inside the elbow now? Yeah, what's that?
Oh, just terracing. Like if you're gonna grow a garden, that's where a garden is. Totally first pass. I mean, it's for the site grading, it's like that's a step, that's a step. So we're just like stepping down a little bit in terms of grading. And in the schemes where you don't have a barbecue, like that's your barbecue somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
Or your barbecue is through the workshop, and then you could have like barbecue workshop events. It could be under that space.
If I grow up to be Dana's dad, that'll be key.
You're one of those pig girls.
Yeah. Porky pie or whatever he's.
Piggy soup.
Piggy soup.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Just back to the PDF that I shared with you. So it's just it basically ended with those dimension plans. These are the sort of stats square footage wise of what this model currently shows. So I'm 3,060 square feet, and your garage and workshop is just over 1,000 for reference.
Well, I feel like that put us kind of right on the money in terms of kind of rough goal, right?
Okay, cool. So now I have some renderings to show you. Give me one sec. Okay. Okay, so this is sort of the entry experience from the road into the living room of the house. This is really like getting on your actual driveway a bit. You tell me to stop anywhere.
I love that cantilever on the end though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I like the window, like the tall, and then across the upper part window. Yeah.
Right,
So
so that's
the
the
upper part under the overhangs. You're not giving up too much on solar gain.
yeah, and that's the window at the top of the landing to
Yeah.
look back out that you'll see.
Right.
And
That's
then so you get a little bit of the clerestory experience there.
That's great.
so this is where most of like this site scope and work comes into play. So the retaining wall ends up being basically Mark's height, like that thing's around 6 feet tall. So it's relatively significant, but I think that we'll look at this in the model and in plan. Like, I want to make sure there's enough space for car maneuvering. And I obviously I'm showing these guest cars parked here in your typical like back out zone. But if you guys were parked in your garage and there were guest cars here, the turning around for like Dana's car could be somewhat difficult. And if that is an important criteria for you guys, it may change. We may need to like increase the size of this parking court, if that makes sense.
I think that would only be a problem in like really specific circumstances.
Right. Like you're throwing a party and you need to leave, but your guests are still there.
Yeah. So this is different, I guess, from what I had been thinking about based on your earlier sketches, in that the driveway comes around the hill much sharper and then turns left
I didn't need it.
and actually goes some distance to the garage.
Sorry, this is not good resolution, but sorry. Say
So
again.
I think that what I had pictured from the sketches earlier was that the distance from the garage door to the retaining wall would be shorter.
I thought so too.
Okay. Just, like, as I'm looking at it going, like, why is that retaining wall so friggin' high? I was like, oh, it's because, like, that space grew, and so you're cutting farther into the hill.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So it, I didn't think it was going to end up being here either, but it's like, this is my first take. So I just didn't want the parking court to feel too small. Like, you have to feel like you can get into the driveway and back out and feel comfortable and get some guest cars in there. And it just made it a little bit larger than I was envisioning at first too. But there's, like, could the whole parking court push toward the house a couple feet? Probably, but it's just a start. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to, like, I mean, honestly, but sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say,
Okay.
like, Christina and I, for our driveway, like, we went out and basically, like, found a very similar turnaround size in Tacoma. And, like, I measured it, and, like, literally going to the parking lot and taping this out may be helpful if we start to feel like we're getting tight on how big we want this to be.
Then how high a retaining wall are we likely to be able to go in one step before we're concerned about the force on the uphill side of it?
I mean, you could go, I mean, remember what those retaining walls were at the one site we went to? I mean,
Oh, the one with the pool.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I mean,
those
you
were-
could go 16 feet, you know, I mean, if it's engineered correctly, but a retaining wall like this isn't going to be, I mean, again, where Ben's concern is we're excavating quite a bit more than I think we thought we were, right? When we're
That's
standing
a pretty
outside.
big volume of earth.
But also, like, I guess in my mind, you know, yeah, it has to happen though. Like, the only other thing is, and we kind of discussed it a little bit, was like kind of driving down into a garage, right? But then that just creates so much drainage issues and waterproofing stuff, and like, where does the water go? I mean, they're always cool. I mean, I love driving down into a kind of a garage space. It feels like a bunker in a weird way, but
Yeah, well, that's totally a variable. So, like, so a couple things. First is, this wall is 6 feet tall. It could easily go to 5 feet, and I'll show you that in the model. So, and actually, a big part of the experience is, like, do you want to be able to look over that wall? Like, does this bug you that it's you can't see over it when you're in the parking court? Because we'll just make it work. Because I have room on this backside. It's a little generous right now, so it can definitely come down. And then to Zed's point, you could easily take this whole right side. I mean, you have to slope the parking court some direction. So this whole right side of the parking court could easily go up 12 inches. And yes, you have a linear drain in front of your garage door, but so what? So those two things all of a sudden turn that sidewall into 4 feet. But I think part of it is the experience. Like, if you feel like there's any advantage to more of this protected sense when you're in the parking court, or that you really want to be able to look over it. And it obviously impacts, like, these early views
yeah, that's what I wanted to see.
as well.
I think that's cool. I like that it like clips the
Yeah.
bottom off. Like, you're not looking at garage at all from the street.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
And
I
you
mean,
can-
it's gonna be planted anyway, right? So like,
Yeah.
eventually you'll never see it anyway.
Right.
But like,
But also,
I like-
really clear story on the angle of the master
Yeah,
bedroom
it's-
with the solid wall
it's
below. It's like,
fucking cool.
yeah, it's pretty nice.
yeah.
I like everything going on with the roof here. So.
Yeah.
Dana, how do you feel about that experience with the taller retaining wall in the parking court?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Are you just worried about not being able to see all the way to the street?
No,
Okay.
I am delighted by the idea that people at the street can't see all the way.
You worry about
Yeah.
the cost of the concrete? Like what's
I
required?
mean,
to happen?
listen, I want to pay half my budget to move dirt around,
Yeah.
but I actually kind of like this in that it feels very protected.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
But I understand that I lean towards that much more firmly than most people,
Yeah.
because I just want to make sure Dana doesn't feel like she's living in a bunker.
No,
I mean, it almost makes it feel like the whole lower level is like your secret, right? Someone from the street could just assume it's just that upper level, right? Like, don't realize there's this whole courtyard and like,
and
yeah.
it's not like it's cutting. It's not like it's making that front yard area super small or anything. And there are hardly any windows that we would be looking out directly at that wall anyway.
Right.
All of the windows that look in that direction are up high, so it's not like this is fine. I have no issue with the height of this.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that there is a height too high in that it then becomes impossible to see whatever nice stuff we have planted on top. But the fact that the wall is here on me, I don't think is an issue at all. Because like, if I take one big step back, I can see the plants. And if I go in the house and up the stairs, I can see the fucking plants. So like, fine, no problem.
I mean,
And go back to the street one more time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. Because we're looking at this hill and it's bald, right? So then there's also obviously going to be plantings that will soften that up, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like the easiest, like one, the most desirable, and two, bonus, the easiest and cheapest thing to do with any of the dirt that you dig out to create that verticality of the retaining wall is you put it on top of the hill.
yeah,
It's
and there's
like,
space
I
to do
think
that.
that hill gets higher.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Ben, did you build that hill up at all, or is that?
No. This is original topography that we're looking at. So
Got it.
totally, I mean, we already have a great place for some dirt. That's like 18 inches on the backside of that for a lot of that.
Right. So at least fill it into the retaining wall, and then if
Yeah.
it goes upslope from there a little bit,
Yeah.
like, I don't think we want to create any sort of crazy climbing experience or anything. But just like if you kind of round it off round it up the top of the hill, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hang on, guys, 1 second. Let's see. I gotta take a break to open the gate for Christina in like 20 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
So my only concern with the way that this is set up now is just, are we creating unnecessary excavation costs?
I think you have to spend it one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to dig down, right, Ben? I mean, I'm like,
Well, you can see that. Well, when I want to sort of switch to the actual model at the end, but we'll pan around the model. We'll give you a better sense. Like, what you're fighting is like also the level that the house is at and how high we want that to sit on the backside. Because I could easily just raise the whole house here 4 feet and you'd have less grading in front, but then there'd be this cliff on the back.
Right.
That also doesn't make sense because we don't have a basement.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, I understand this excavation cost. My point is just I don't want to create unnecessary additional excavation costs. And if this is one of these things where like you could dig it here or you could dig it there, and if
Right.
you dig it here, we like how it looks better.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's it. You'll see, like the backside would need to be built up. You'd be paying more for a foundation system the higher the house goes. So
Right.
yeah, it's a total balance. Okay, I sort of have this like separate walkway width that we're trying to make feel design wise like not part of the driveway. This is the shot into the house. A huge question for me is like how much can we recess the entry door or not? Currently in this model, it's pushed in like 18 inches from the face of the lower level wall.
Mhm.
You have like above, oh boy. Sorry, hang on. So I think these roof overhangs that I'm showing are like, they're not huge. They're like 3 feet. So at the entry in the corner of this geometry, you do have both those roofs hanging over 3 feet, but you don't like, if it were raining, you'd be a little bit exposed.
Right.
So I think there's just a design question of here is like, of this entry, like how much sort of overhead protection can we give it?
Mhm.
So here I'm giving it a little bit. You come in, that's the bathroom straight ahead of you. Stairs, which we will go up now. You go up the stairs, you get to the top of the stairs, that's a little bench or closet, whatever. And you look to the left, that's the view back to the front. With you banging your head into the wall.
Kind of frustrating day, I guess.
It's like in the video games, we just like keep.
Glitching there
Keep
into
glitching
parking
from the
board.
wall.
It's fine.
So, and then this is your first look. So, into the main living space. And this is the view that got that treatment.
Money.
yeah.
So here I'm just showing a simple sort of one-liner gesture. It's all basically at bench height. So it's, part of it could have cushions, part of it could be a table for display, whatever. And it's about 4 feet deep-ish or 3.5 feet deep. And then this is from the main kitchen island peninsula, looking back.
Mhm.
You can see like
A
this.
variety of views of Dana's new girlfriend here.
Yes. Couple things going on here. So yeah, like we were talking about this sort of divider element between living and craft.
Right.
It could be more open than this. I'm fully opening it on the facade side to walk past. You could also go to the right, and on the right, it kind of links up with a lowered ceiling height along that stair side of the house,
Oh, I see. Okay.
which I think
Yeah, I had read that as an arrow thing, and the ceiling height was the same on both sides.
yeah, it runs down the whole hallway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think it would also be very useful, like depending on how we detail the ceiling and the roof system, being able to put mechanical
Absolutely.
services
Yeah.
in that could be huge. And I don't mind how it brings that scale down. And it's actually
Oh, absolutely not.
it's actually quite low. So the ceiling height on that is 7'6". And if that feels too tight, we can raise it. But it is one of those moments in architecture where I think you can be very intimate and it can be okay. But you're a tall guy, so anyway, we'll look at that more in the model.
Yeah.
But there's
okay.
something to be said of like going from that like vertical hug to like opening up too. That just makes that so much more impactful. So
Right. You
Yeah.
can see it here. It's like architects call it expansion and contraction of space.
How tall are you, Ben?
5, 10, 11.
Okay. And so, like, what is the ceiling height that feels like a hug but doesn't feel like you're going to hit your head?
it depends. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so situational.
Yeah.
Have you, I mean, and then the deal is like, have you been to a Frank Lloyd Wright house that had some insanely short ceilings? Because they're like the shortest ceilings I've ever been in. And it almost feels more special.
He did a weird thing where he would put lowered ceilings, but they weren't actually like the complete ceiling.
Hmm.
So like there would be like a nook, and that part of the room would have a really low ceiling, and then there would be the rest of the room would have like sometimes an absurdly tall ceiling, and so he played with dimensions
Yeah.
so much. Although his children's playroom in the house in Oak Park is one of those rooms that does have a low ceiling the whole way across, and I think it was just because he was like trying to make it feel like a playhouse within the house because his children were short. So and they moved before they ever grew up, so it didn't really matter if they ever got tall.
I think it's fine to imagine we have a lower ceiling in that hallway. I just encourage you to remember that I'm like half a foot taller than you, and so however that feels to you, like I'm another half foot closer to it.
Totally. I mean, it's fine, and it's just a gesture right now, so
Yeah.
we need to get into the details of it. So this is like Dana sitting on the sofa while you make dinner. And I did want to show
Corner.
what?
The corner.
It would be in the corner.
In the corner. Excellent.
Right. I think this is like first thing in the morning, mid-morning, or no, this is like noon. This is afternoon. My point here is that because we've rotated the house 70 or 45 degrees to like to the southwest, you are getting, especially, and I think this time of year is like equinox time of the year. Even then, you're getting afternoon sun not straight, but coming in through those windows. And either we love that, or that's part of the reason why I actually made the fins of the mullions from the like feature window deeper. Like the deeper those are to the outside, the more and more they start helping the shading. Like I think that's a cool design gesture to play with. But I guess the point is I'm a little concerned how much direct light we're getting in the late afternoon through this entire facade. And I think that it's something that we need to key into pretty early to figure out how we want to. What are some steps we can take to deal with it?
Yeah, that could be real overwhelming.
Oh,
Here's the
there
thing.
are trees out there, so
There are trees out there.
I don't know how. It's not like it's tundra out there in the lake.
Okay, so let's go back to this. Like it's
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
it'll be cool. Like it'll actually be good. Like in the hottest. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's like hottest there in August or whatever. So I could pick that sun angle in August, and I think I can add some like trees like instead of just poles. So I think we can start to get a better idea of how much shading there will be. It's a little bit hard though.
Yeah.
Obviously in the winter we want that, so it's only a good thing that we face the house that way because we're letting the sun in the winter. Okay.
Is there any magic to which trees are which color?
Yeah, red I
By
want
species?
to delete. I think the one on the left is the sick pine. Is why I put it there, and
Okay.
then the others kind of have to go
Is
from
it-
the location of the house, and on the
Yeah.
right it's from that the showdown parking spot. So
M-car blue.
that was it, and I'll throw this video in the same share folder. So basically, what I haven't shown you is this.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
The other side of that.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Oh.
So let's see. So by the way, the lower level finished floor is about what we talked about on site. Like it's roughly 3 or 4 feet from grade. If that makes sense. So, and we're doing that in order to like purchase some of the view for the second level.
Okay.
Like I said, okay. Yeah, you can keep going up. We actually let me show you this now. There's I have a layer here of the zoning code height setback mumbo jumbo. Let me turn this on. All right, so this blue,
Uh-oh.
yeah, you can see. So we have a little projection here. This is an example of. I wanted to show you. I'll just show you the your zoning code. Actually, remember where I was. So the reason there wouldn't be that stepping back if we weren't in the infill zone.
Right.
Because we're in the infill, they force this like stepping of height. You can see in the actual zoning code, there are this part 2, the exceptions to setback planes. And they allow exceptions for side gabled roofs and dormers. all like traditional architectural forms. So what I would like to do is probably start with Raleigh and ask them, have they got exceptions for this type of thing from the city in the past? And then I'm sure we would have to like obviously go through this formally with the city to make sure that like this
But it's really just the projection of the roof that would be like
the
corner of the house itself.
Yeah.
Like the corner of the envelope is inside the limit. It's just where the roof overhangs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, I just feel like we're sort of close enough. I don't think this feels like a game changer right now, but I just wanted to alert you to it that we have this thing to coordinate.
Yeah. That feels like it's super, like that feels like it's not gonna, I don't want to jinx it. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Amongst the variances they're going to be asked for in any given fiscal year, that's not the big one.
Yeah, totally. So let me talk about just like the site grading. So we have the whole parking court, which I'm showing like 3 inches or 6 inches below the actual garage finished floor height. And the main level finished floor height. You go around the side here. I stuck the trash there just so this would be like the most extreme side of like trying to get that out of the way, out of sight. I could definitely see a case for putting trash right here and kind of combining it with the site wall work next to this car. If you wanted it a little bit more accessible, I don't know. This one is just kind of the most discreet. Anyway, you keep going down this side path. And
I would like it to be both very easy to get to and not ever a thing I see when I'm not trying to go to the trash can. And I understand that those are incompatible desires.
Yeah.
Like
And then you get to this like triangular terrace outside of the workshop. And can I just leave this here because I have to go run? I'm only gonna be gone 1 minute to move this gate.
Yeah.
There you go.
See you in 1 sec.
To move this what?
Kate, he has to open a gate for Christina.
Oh, cake. I said cake. More information on the cake. I mean, does having this little patio downstairs by the craft shop as like another entry make
Well, I
it
mean,
interesting as a teaching spot? Like if people could enter directly from there.
I mean, again, I think it largely depends on what that space ends up being used for the most.
Yeah.
But I do think it's helpful because Mark does have occasionally stuff that he needs to like spray paint or whatever, and that would give him space to do it outside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like how that gives access to the house. Makes it.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense to have a door out into the backyard, if only because some future owner of this house will give a shit.
We'll frolic
through the
Yeah,
backyard.
exactly.
in the
Right.
underbrush.
Yeah.
Stop the pine.
Right. And I almost feel like that means that what you really ought to do is think about that being on the other side where the guest room is, but that's a
Mm.
but yeah, I mean I think it's a nice feature to have a little patio there and to have some access to the backyard. I just think that that is more important to other people than it is to me.
Where that
I don't need to let the dog out.
Okay. And then Dana, I was imagining this this window door in your dojo would have backyard access.
nice.
So that gets an elevation sort of level with that terrace.
I like, so you've kind of kept the cut through on the lower level, but just with glazing now and not
Yeah.
like,
But you don't see a through shot of it. And that
Yeah.
Although with there being that high retaining wall there now and stuff, I don't know that that's as important.
Well, it's kind of nice to come down the front walk that if you
We'll
could
see when
see.
they get to the door. So, right?
you would
Oh, because that was actually lined up with the garage door, not
yeah, the garage door. I mean,
Guys get to experience that.
Yep. yeah, that's yeah.
that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a bummer that it's not as apparent. I mean,
But I think that there's a lot that can be done with that wall and moment as people come in, decoratively speaking. And Mark doesn't care about that, but
Yeah.
I see opportunity there. So
Oh no, I'd hang the koi there. I think that'd be cool.
totally. I mean, I think this space feels like so currently. Yeah, I recessed the entry door just 16 inches, and then we're left with from like wall to wall that's 7'9". I think that feels okay. Like that's the dimension that cannot feel too tight.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because if you recessed it more, that felt.
Yeah, it gets a little scary. I think it, another 6 inches, maybe. The other thing is like you don't want it sort of sensitive design.
Yeah, because you don't want
you don't want
to
it cutting off the
Yeah.
stairs.
going straight at a corner as you come down the stairs.
It's sort of like you could, yeah. I mean, I was tempted to do something like this, like just go the full depth of the stairs, and you really have to like hook around to go up the stairs.
Yeah.
But then it just starts to feel so
I don't like that as much.
closed off.
No, this feels good.
The other thing to look at is not recessing the door at all, just doing it within the wall thickness, and then looking at potential like elegant like a roof, like a shade structure or a
Mhm.
rain, some sort of roof, like over this entry moment.
Right.
Yeah. I understand that the word you desperately don't want to use is awning.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, back to the grading. So, Mark, I was just saying that I was seeing this being a window/door in the dojo that could go out to the terrace level, and then everything else is just falling more or less with the grade. There is some fill going on here, but like how low this corner goes is sort of up to us. I just didn't like it would be most sensitive if that went up like 2 feet. It starts to feel really steep toward to this property line. It could probably go up a little bit more though. I don't know, but more.
You're effectively trading moving dirt for building foundation there.
You mean if you went up?
Or was it dug down to that level?
I mean, you're going to have to dig down regardless for everything, but that's pretty much following the topography on that corner.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a little bit of fill here. This thing. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Uh,
I don't know.
More
I mean,
bricks in that patio than I imagined.
selfishly, I like the feeling of the house being kind of like in. Oh, I kind of just from a personal standpoint would hate to see it come up out of the earth further.
Right.
you like it feeling a little.
I like
Yeah.
it feeling like it's kind of buried in there a little bit. You
Yeah.
know.
Also, it's so boxy that having that angle read
Yeah.
of the grading is
Very
nice.
cool. Yeah, I agree. And so then I'm just connecting sort of that low point to this like slightly stepping down kind of garden experience in the front. Whatever this becomes. If you were,
That terracing wasn't as dry. Yeah, in my mind, I thought. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I expected the driveway to be closer to the top of the retaining wall and then
I thought the
the
retaining-
to the front door. But
Yeah, I thought the terracing would be like more drastic and the retaining wall would be less drastic. But like, this is the cool thing about doing this, right? Because
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
there's actually less slope in that area than I think you would sort of initially suspect.
um,
And
This-
that's what you're doing with that vertical peek out of the master bedroom too, so that they can see what's happening in the front door.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I
I
really
mean-
like all the arrangement of the windows along the front.
Yeah.
They're not revealing too much, but it's definitely letting in lots of light and stuff. So
yeah, I wanted to keep this sort of that shield concept, the speakeasy concept. I still really like that. I think there's like part of me in the master bedroom I kind of miss a window on this wall, being able to see out of it. There's potentially a way to detail that so that it's like a window with a shutter on the outside that can close too, that is just part of the siding. So it doesn't like announce itself as a window, but you could open it. Anyway, my point is it wouldn't kill me to add like a discrete window on this face in your bedroom.
Is there a way to do that is so we wouldn't do it the same way, but I'm thinking about the upstairs window at the house that Raleigh took us into where they had the
slats.
wooden slats
Right.
stood off from the glass
Yeah.
enough. It was hard to see in from outside, but it was pretty easy to see out from inside.
Oh, great point. That's exactly what I was talking about. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's opportunity there. I think there's, maybe like this is a pantry window here.
Mhm.
That's probably all you need for the pantry. And then on this side,
I don't need a great view from inside my pantry. That's probably true.
I think this corner window moment could be super cool in the kitchen.
Yeah, very cool.
And I like that it's this unique moment because the rest of the glazing on the upper level is, well, the unique moment of the pop out. And then we go flush with the facade with these windows on this side. And I think it's kind of working.
So,
yeah.
As you have this set up right now, are we at a place where you're comfortable with the percentage of glazing?
Good question. I think so. I mean, I tried to pay attention to that. Like my gut says it's maybe a little bit on the too much side, just barely. It's really the energy model that answers that because I don't have I can't really answer that very well technically. But to me, it doesn't. I don't think we're going crazy with glazing. We're being pretty conservative on the lower level. And because we have almost so little on this side, I think that we're you purchase yourself more on this side. So yeah, I think we're totally in the range.
Okay. So my thought there is that we could probably afford to go with a little bit less window in the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly with that, like almost floor to ceiling, like that's wall space I can't put workbench and tools on. So like,
well, I don't know that it really makes sense, but you could put a high window there instead of the floor to ceiling thing, and so there would be window above workbench or something. I guess it just depends on whether Mark wants more floor to ceiling storage or just counter height stuff.
I would say that just remember that this is not part of your
Right.
living envelope. It's a different deal. It's less restrictive. If you want to go,
Well, but there are two things we're trading there, right? Like one is energy performance, and in the workshop it matters less because it's outside of the envelope. The other one is just cost, right? And then it's for the same surface area, it's cheaper to build a solid wall than a window. Just in
I
general.
mean, here's my take on that is the expense in Windows is operable windows. Fixed windows are surprisingly cheap.
Okay.
I think there's really good value in fixed glazing, and to
Okay.
not have to pay for that wall assembly where it is, I think it's closer to a wash than you would imagine.
So I guess that it just
My take.
the main thing I think that's determining the windows in there is the
Functionality.
arrangement of the storage areas. So
Yeah.
because
I
having
like the
natural
current
light is not
window.
bad.
I like that it, that space opens onto that little patio. That's all great. I hate to give up too much like tool space for window in workshop.
For sure. Let me do a few things. So like,
So we're looking at like that wall being sort of the workbench, and then sort of an island type workbench.
this room is like 16 by 17.
Yeah. It's pretty
That's-
generous size, yeah.
That's not even including like 2 feet of this counter area. So yeah, I
So
think,
that's a 13 or 14 foot workbench along that side. If that counter is effectively the workbench.
yeah, 12 and a half feet. The table I'm showing in here is 10 feet by 3 by 10.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a generous quantity of surface, right? But like if I put a standing drill press in a bandsaw against one of these walls, right? Because I'm not going to put it against where we've got openings into closet space. There just comes a point where I end up putting standing tools in front of a window, and that feels like kind of a waste.
Yeah, I agree. Solid wall is precious. I was thinking that you should have a sink in here. Am I right? Like I was seeing this as a sink thing.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want a shop sink
Yeah.
in there somewhere. And like, I'm happy to hear from Zeb about where the plumbing is going to be easiest. I don't think of a shop sink as being sort of a central place where you do stuff in a shop in the same way that I think of a sink as being a central place in a kitchen. But having one in there is definitely a goal.
Yeah, I think there's tons of square footage in there to lay it out with the storage and the work space.
Yeah.
I guess I thought that let's see. So we have your gun safe. This is probably even oversized for that. Oh yeah. This is like 5.5 square-ish, that closet.
Okay.
I was thinking like this and maybe a little more than this, like this wall would be for utility. Like this your utility may need to even grow more. Like that may need to be utility. All this.
Okay.
So I don't know what happens to this little guy here. That could almost be like a chase to get stuff up to the second floor.
Secret space.
Yes. This I was imagining is like a coat closet. Like you come in near the garage.
That's the downstairs coat closet.
Yeah. And you also have opportunity here as well. So I guess
Well, but like, I guess you do have a linen closet space in the bathroom area there.
yes.
Yeah.
I guess my point is like a good portion of a space like this would be your gun safe. And so like this is your real storage room here for a lot of your house in general.
And are you imagining doing like that I would install a safe like the one I have in that space, or that would effectively be
Oh,
a
either way.
secure closet?
Yeah, you could. I've seen them. Yeah.
I think that's what we're talking to Raleigh about, or like
Yeah.
once we get to that point, like what?
I mean, because like I don't mind just buying a safe and installing it,
Sure.
right? That turns out to be easier. But if we're going to do that, putting it in its own closet doesn't make sense because it's not going to be the full depth, and you need room for the door to open. And so, like, if you need room for the door open, and then the closet's got to be big enough to fit the open door, and like,
Yeah.
you might as well just make that one bigger closet area and put the safe in it.
Yeah.
But whatever, like those aren't load-bearing walls. You move those around to your heart's content as we get deeper into this.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you needed more storage than this, I think you could easily add some storage to the dojo. Unless, I guess Dana, I was curious what you felt like was a constricting. Like the width of this is 12 feet 4 right now.
Right.
Like
I don't remember off the top of my head what distances I need to actually be able to practice full out. But I can measure that when I get home. I definitely don't have any space big enough to do that here at the beach cottage, which is very small.
yeah,
Did you create enough space out on the deck to measure?
No, we have so much crap out there right now.
Yeah.
Because all of the furniture that was in the screened-in porch got moved out there, so the dining table.
The dining table, yeah, okay.
Oh, I
Was
should.
this room big enough?
No, that room was a little bit too small.
No,
Okay. But then you have the dimensions of this room.
Yeah.
to give you.
those are in the PDF. I should mention I did this.
I do know that I need that space to be longer than it is wide, so I like the way it is now because I feel like that's
Wow.
the appropriate.
Proportion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's all your silhouettes, by the way.
Because it's a herd of Marcandanas.
Okay. Good job. Thank you for doing that. I was gonna say that I pushed the garage in because I felt like, and that's just 2 feet, but I think it was a helpful 2 feet to offset it from the second floor above.
Yeah.
But that's one of those that's a variable. So like if you guys felt that there wasn't enough general storage down here, we have to start stretching something somewhere. So it'd be good to know what your guys' sense is on storage capacity that we have.
Well, we currently don't have either a real functional attic or a basement, so we're used to not having like some huge storage area for general household crap, which I think is probably helpful going into this. Like this probably gives us more space than we currently have anyway.
Yeah.
So
So, right now my total like workshop storage is that one like double door full height cabinet that you saw out in the garage. And then I have the one like lower cabinet that I've got my like mini drill press sitting on top of now. And that's basically it. There's a drawer in the workbench. That's all the storage I have out there. So compared to like a big old fucking closet, like, and the room to like still put a full size cabinet and stuff in there, like I think that's pretty generous compared to what I have now, and probably not unreasonable compared to my like current expectation of what I'd use.
Mhm.
I'm the first person to admit to you that however much storage is in a workshop,
you'll fill it.
I will eventually fill up with workshop stuff because physics. Workshop projects are a gas. 22 feet.
Yeah, it's 22, but it's 20 in this direction, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, so it's effectively the same depth as our existing garage, but 2 feet wider.
Yeah. Right, because we measured 20. It was basically 20 by 20.
It's about 20 square, yeah.
Yeah. Right, that's 2 feet wider. But again, I'm measuring that to the front of this, so that's yeah.
But,
Our
like,
current
what I'm saying is that like we're no more constrained front to back than we are in our current garage. We get a little bit more room side to side, even before you talk about removing all of my current workbench from the equation.
Yeah,
So
that should be plenty.
yeah, I think that will be perfectly generous. And I'm not like if dropping the front wall of that back the 2 feet to get to where you are here made you happier with the mass at the front of the house, great. That seems pretty reasonable.
I do think it makes it look less, it's not one big solid.
Yeah. It helps a lot. Helps a ton. And it's just I think this would be a sweet window detail, like because you're just sort of taking that line from the garage and that becomes the window. Like
That looks really good.
it has that shield effect that we're after. I think that has the potential to be a very cool detail. What? Okay. So if we've anything to talk about up here, let's see. Well, just to give you a sense of your office experience. Well, this I'm glad I went to this end of the house. There is definitely a roof geometry condition that's complex at this end of the house where you have both those roof forms at an angle, and the rooms are not laid out with anything aligning with that angle of the roof, and it's just it's a bit sketchy. So
because you are thinking that you want the roof to be whatever thickness it is and the interior surface of the roof to effectively be the ceiling in the upper story.
in like this space. Say that again. Say that again.
What I'm saying is that we would expect the ceilings inside the house to mirror the shape of the roof on the outside.
For
And
sure.
you wouldn't have the roof and then like a plenum space.
It's like,
No, but
Just making sure that I like because it does then become this question of where you have that seam where those two slopes meet and the rooms don't line up. That
I
is
guess
a little weird.
I have totally I've not spent any time thinking about that. Where my brain goes to is drop the ceilings in those spaces to a flat ceiling. So like your office would get a flat ceiling. Potentially. I would want to show you that at least.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. So in this scheme, like the way you got this set up, because like I think it would be a shame to just drop this to a flat ceiling if you were trying to get the corner window. Because you're having a corner window where you've got where it's rising on the axis where it needs and then it rises from the other side of it, and if you like losing that experience would be a shame. But here you've got solid wall in that corner anyway. So fine, right? Like the windows all have flat tops, and if they had flat tops a little bit lower and I didn't have a 12-foot ceiling in my office, okay.
I will show you options of this. I am just pointing out that it's awkward right now with that geometry.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would study this every which way to see what. I mean, the other part is like once I when I add more detail to the model, that's a little more, true to reality. Sometimes quirks like that are cool. And so I don't want to shut it out that it's just going to be ugly. There's a chance like it could look cool. I know that it needs to be studied.
And just confirm, your expectation is that the wall between the office and the room next to it would go to the ceiling?
Yes, I think I was just lazy because it's like.
That's why I was wondering that wasn't like you were.
Well, I was torn.
That thing.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's fine. It's cool.
Yeah, because like a little internal clear story makes that like the joining of the angles make a little more sense, right? If they just like fly past, but
yeah, which is fine if you actually glazed it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't want the office open to the living room.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like from this perspective, I like this wall a lot. I like that angle happening in this. I think it's cool. So the space I'm most worried about is just your office ceiling.
So if you did this and then you just went to a flat ceiling in the office?
Yeah.
On that?
Potentially.
That seems okay. Like, I mean, if you can figure out something cool to do with it, great. But like, if not, a flat ceiling, I don't see any.
You probably wouldn't even notice.
Yeah. But like, this is kind of a quirk of this wall, but I think it's cool. But I just think that it's potentially more awkward in your office. And then this is worth looking at too. Like, this is the type of thing where I would. Like, I'll show you options of this with a like little more lifelike rendering, so we have a better sense of what this thing would look like. So,
yeah.
I guess I also wanted to mention that, to me, you guys tell me what you think about how the roof and the slope feels. I'm inclined to test a flat roof. Partially because this is a relatively shallow roof pitch. It's 2 and 12. Your solar panels optimally probably want a steeper slope than that. It bugs me when, I don't know, I just feel a conflict there. I mean, it would look ugly if your solar panels were lifted
stitched up off of a pitched roof.
Yeah, that'd just be the worst thing ever. So it's relatively shallow already. We have this zoning height issue that we know about. And then we have the potentially awkward ceiling conditions because of the roof shape. And so I kind of want to try what it would look like to do a flat ceiling. I'm also struggling a little bit with overhangs. In a way that a flat roof with a flat overhang would solve some potential conditions. I guess maybe more at I just kind of want to try it. But does that make any sense to you, or have you fallen in love with this?
Can you articulate what? Go ahead, Dana.
I was just thinking about that roof shape that you found that was like sloped, and then it had a very short opposite slope.
Yeah,
I wonder if that would solve that corner issue. I mean, maybe.
It's a great point. I thought about that, and I could try that. As well.
That doesn't address the solar panel issue, but I guess I've just seen a lot of bad experiences with flat roofs as far as like developing leaks and stuff, which I don't think will actually be a problem with this house and like the level of construction thought being put into it. But just like, that's my initial thought about flat roofs is I don't know, but the opposing slope thing was just the one that encouraged me. I do like the slope on the bedroom side, just the way that looks, that interesting. But if that became a clear story straight across, that would be fine too, I think. Yeah. So, and if it was straight across, then it would mimic the one on the front of the other part of the house too. So, I mean, I think it would be interesting to see what your rendering looked like.
Yeah. I was just going to ask if you could articulate what is giving you trouble about the overhangs with this slope.
Well, I felt like I was sort of battling the overhang distance on this inner geometry, trying to give enough protection to the main entry. On this side, I was struggling a little bit with the relationship of the pop out depth and the roof overhang distance. This doesn't feel great to me, this current relationship. I would kind of rather have the main roof dominate, but then it feels quite big, and then we have more of a zoning exception to deal with. So and then the other advantage of a flat roof is sort of a more rational structure and just like a simpler overall volume. The overall volume would feel more generous inside the space.
Why is that?
Because I think that you could, like if I was to do a flat ceiling, let's take this. If we put it at
because you would raise the one side as you lower the other until you got flat. Okay,
yeah, like 13 feet. That's 13 feet. This is 12 feet. Like if the whole thing was 12 feet, 12-foot ceilings.
Instead of going from what you said 7.5 over here to
that's all. And I think this would feel nice inside. and I'm imagining some express structural beams or something here, and the boxy structure, whatever, just has a rationality about it. It would be nice. It's just something that, like, that's a variation that I'm inclined to test. It also, like, like this roof. So there's a flat roof with that overhang. There's something kind of cool about this, and it would have the ability to like integrate that pop out with the roof overhang. So it's less of a singular pop out, but it's like connected to the roof overhang.
Right.
So I think
Once you said you were going to lower it on that side, it was basically almost in line with the pop out already. So
right.
Building the top of the pop out into the roof, incorporating it would have been trivial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just, I don't know, that's where my brain went, is that I think it's worth looking at that. But, you know, I wanted to get your take on it, or like what your brain is telling you, like what kind of variations you could see building into this, and like your comfort level with what we're looking at in general. How's this feeling?
I think it's good. I like this as a first draft. It feels like a livable space to me.
Yeah, I like a lot of things about this. I agree with you that deeper roof overhangs are probably a plus. Just looking at this, but if that causes us a zoning problem on the sort of the near corner from this orientation, that seems like an issue. I like the shape with the sloped roof. I don't quite know how I feel about it with a flat roof, because I can picture it, but you're going to tweak some things, and I don't really know how I feel about it in the end. Particularly if it solves some other issues, then let's take a look at that. Right now, the way you have this set up, on the downhill edge of the roof on the main block of the house, is the roof basically meeting that lowered ceiling?
This clerestory window aligns with the lowered ceiling.
Okay.
And
Yeah, so there's not a way to buy more roof slope by dropping the downhill side because we have the zoning issue on the uphill side.
No,
So,
no,
yeah,
it's
fair enough.
You mean like rotate, like make the roof steeper, the pitch?
Or just bring the whole thing down, you're saying?
I was really just talking about increasing the
pitch.
slope, because it's in for the solar.
Right.
But we don't have a ton of extra vertical room on the downhill side, and we're out of room zoning wise on the uphill side, so that doesn't seem like it's going to solve the issue.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, it's hard because we have this, like, I have this nagging in my head about the zoning issue. I had it like at a 312 pitch. So I had it steeper originally. I just wanted to be a little bit conservative because of this stupid potential issue. So yeah, like I felt like a steeper slope was looking better. And I felt like more overhang depth was looking better. And I guess it was those two feelings where I was like, shit, maybe we should just try a flat roof, because it sort of solves it.
No, I mean, I think under the circumstances, show us what it would look like with a flat roof. My concern is just that, like, part of what I like about this design is that I like how it looks with that slope on there, and I think it would look even better with a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
The zoning commission, they feel otherwise. What was that, Zeb?
I was gonna say, I mean, you can get there, you just have to excavate more.
Drop the whole house down lower. But yeah, that would be a
Well,
lot.
or
I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind of, I don't know how trained
on that cantilever.
That
Right?
mean like
Every
lowering
foot shorter that the house is in that direction, you can go a foot higher.
I don't know how they're going to be. I don't know where. I mean, you can get away with some stuff depending on how they measure the heights, right? So like different. And I don't. Ben, you know more than I do on that. I know, like in Michigan, they allow you, if you're into a hillside, then they allow you to take measurements from different areas
That's
of
very cool.
structure based on your
Wow.
maximum heights. But
Yeah, they just confuse the shit out of me. It is something like that. It's the most complex freaking formula to understand height.
Maximum on wall plane height adjacent to the side property line is 25 feet. And the average height of the two abutting neighboring walls.
Then I just lost it.
yeah,
Wall plane height may be increased a foot for each foot of horizontal distance of walls moved from the side setback line not to exceed the maximum height allowed within the district. When a sidewall incorporates a recession or projection of 2 feet or more, multiple sidewall plane height shall apply. Each sidewall plane height is determined by averaging the 4 points consisting of the highest and lowest elevation of each pre-developed and post-development grades along the sidewall of a building.
wait. So they take pre and post?
Yeah, they're averaging.
Yo,
it just sounds so fucking insane. I
Even
got
though they can tell
frustrated.
you how you would calculate this.
Yeah, so like it sounds like what they do is they look at where the wall is and they find the highest and lowest point at the ground, both before and after you moved your dirt. And they average those 4 heights together. And then you measure up from there. Where were you measuring up from in your little
Existing grade.
you were just measuring up from an existing grade
Yeah.
where existing grade was?
Yeah.
Oh, well then we got more room.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, but they're only talking about wall plane.
Yeah.
And the
Honestly,
roof is not on the wall plane.
yeah. I think what I said is probably still the smartest. We just get Raleigh's take on it, and then this is exactly why you have a coordination call with one of the zoning people at the counter and be like, it doesn't seem like the code was written, the exception was written for a case like ours. So when you look at this, like it's
Yeah,
all-
I actually think that because you are measuring from where the ground is and the ground is sloping down there, I think you actually get to measure from the midpoint of the slope along that entire length of wall, which is going to buy you another couple of feet.
Okay.
But yeah, we should ask Miller.
Let's talk about trees for a second.
Yeah.
So we're taking one. This was like a maple. That's an oak, but that was a decent sized oak.
Mhm.
It's gone. But then this cluster of 3, I really think, because the foundation is so set back, I think that seems okay.
Because it's not going to be digging foundation down through their
Yeah,
roots.
I think that feels okay. And then this turnaround spot in the drive court, I think that wall was getting really close to this guy, which was a pine. And that's kind of a bummer. And then 2 little guys were just in the drive court.
Yeah. Why is that? That other one's going down just because that's the one that is in kind of bad shape and looks weird.
That guy looked at it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Not to insult the state tree, but if we lose a pine tree, I think that's the least valuable tree on the lot, so it's fine.
And we know it's still pretty shrubby and bushy here in
Right.
general.
Right.
So maybe I could share some dimensions here of this drive court to get your guys' take on it, because I could totally use a second opinion here. So the question is, can the whole drive court move closer to the house? What was stopping that? So like I have this dimension to this low wall.
Yeah.
That's 11 feet.
Yeah.
The 2-car width is 22 feet, so that matches your garage.
Yeah.
And I felt like with concrete walls on either side, that's probably good.
Probably
I'm
fine. Yeah.
not worried about scraping concrete.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I did this partially because like these cars have to back out. Like they have to go back toward your house.
Right.
To get out. And that's kind of where, so maybe it's that 11-foot dimension. This is kind of the critical one.
Mhm.
That was a wild guess. Like, I don't know if that can be 8 feet or if it wants to be 12 feet. It looks like it. I mean, it looks like it's working, doesn't it? As is.
Yeah. The car parked farther away from the house has no problem at all.
Right.
And the car parked closer to the house probably gets away with it.
Right.
I think as it's currently lined up.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about only us getting our cars in or out of the garage, I think the space between the lower wall and the garage door can shrink.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The other thing that I think would make all of this feel just a little bit easier to navigate is if you, at the end of the front walk, just
Take
round
over
that
this.
corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something. I agree.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna want to, be turning in right there.
Yeah.
Yep. We can do a nice little moment like this guy.
Yeah.
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 Is this little wall worth anything? He is shorter than I had originally assumed too. I could just delete him.
Sad.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's.
I think
doing
he's
it.
getting covered up by all the other wall anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well, and he's going to get covered up by like any ankle high plant.
Is
It's a curb. That's not a wall. That's a curb.
Yeah, that's true. Is it at all worth thinking about this as some like back end parking spot? Is that helpful? We can go further back actually. You can go here. Do you want that as an overflow parking spot for any reason?
It's maybe not pavement, but
Right, just
something that
gravel.
can be parked on that doesn't feel like it's driveway.
Yeah. Like a service car could park there.
What?
Like a gardener. Well, maybe I take that back. They have like trailers and shit. I was
Sure.
thinking
if I'm paying you to come to my house, you can back out of the driveway.
What
If
about
you're coming to my house for the delight of my company, you should be excited to back out of the driveway, but maybe I'll give you the option.
it's a good point though. I mean, it's good to think though about a gardener's truck with a trailer.
Right.
And then you're inclined to be sort of on the generous side of your parking court.
Yeah.
If Dana has her teaching class, how many cars are showing up? And
Question.
how many do you want to park on the street? Because
There's nowhere to park on the street.
is there zeros? There's nothing?
Well, I mean, there's like one
There's
car worth of
hardly
space
any-
that's actually in front of our property and isn't blocking the driveway.
Yeah, that's true.
And like the shoulders of that road are not particularly developed, so it just feels like if the ground is at all squishy off that side of the pavement, you're worried that your car is going to get stuck there. So
But on the other hand, I think in most cases where we're going to have more than 2 cars worth of guests, they're there for an event. They aren't like coming and going. And so it's one of those like, okay, like the session of the game is now done. So whichever one of you parked in the driveway, leave first so that everybody else can get out.
It's a little tough because if you wanted, there's like a whole sequence. If you wanted like 4 cars in your parking court, these people have to back in. You know, because you could have 4 cars, but
Yeah, as long as they got there first, they could nose into the, like towards the garage and then back into that.
I mean, everyone can back out. It's not like it's like the senior citizen homes coming over for an early lunch.
well,
I think if you give 2 people in 2 separate cars room to park where they can turn around and not have to back out of the driveway,
Yeah.
you were like head and shoulders above 99% of residential parking.
Yeah.
And the third car can tighten their belt and figure it out.
remember
Backup
going,
camera.
going over to my grandparents' house where the driveway was not super wide and extremely steep off one side. So like there was this constant fear that you would go careening down through the woods. And to get out of there, you had to do like this 24-point turn up the top of the driveway to leave. And we all dealt with it. So, you know,
I guess
if one extra person parks sort of in that where that the angled wall is, and then they have to do some weird maneuvering to turn themselves around in there, then they can do it.
Or just back out.
Or back out.
Just back out.
Whatever.
That's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is more than generous for guest parking.
you want to ditch this idea because like if you wanted this car to park there, like
Yeah.
we would coordinate that with the civil engineer and the grading and stuff like that. Do you want to skip this?
I don't think it's important. It doesn't feel like a necessity to me.
Yeah. If I hear that spot is already relatively flat and what we would need to do is put down some gravel, I'm prepared to have that conversation. But like, I don't think it's worth a whole extra grading project to create.
It's
that.
relatively flat. So just deal with it later.
Yeah, we'll figure it out once we see.
Yeah,
what
that's
it-
one of those, like, if it turns out to be easy, fine. But like,
How about in terms of landscape? So I'm seeing this guy, especially with the sloping roof that I'm showing now. Like this is your water harvesting city of Raleigh moment in this area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that means it. I'm not sure what that means for the surface of the earth there, but it, like likely no gardening happening. So any
Right.
gardening would be this upper thing.
Yeah.
Conceptually, is that okay? Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like at the Raleigh Construction House.
that gravel area.
Yeah, was that like a paver? They had like a terrace thing or something. Or was that just gravel?
No, it was just gravel that they had the cistern underneath.
Right.
So I think that makes sense in that you have an easy spot to have the overflow go along the side of the house back towards the creek, right?
Yeah.
And the like slow release go down the side of the house towards the creek. I would prefer if I had somewhere, and maybe it's in that little like thing that looks like a path there, just to put herbs like along the front walk where they were easily
I mean, is
accessible
it
from
going
the
to kill
door.
you if they're in the more front part of that than right next to the door? It's not like you use them that often.
I could be maimed.
You have to walk a whole like 10 feet away from the
Oh,
house.
outdoors? Burning orb in the sky in the nature?
This is good for you.
But
I think the
Yeah,
other thing that you
probably
need to
fine.
consider is like, is it even going to get enough sun in that little space there? Like, would it
Yeah.
even need to be out in that further out area away from the house? So
yeah, that's probably right.
fine.
I think the important thing was whenever we engage the consultants, we just want to be comfortable with the direction we're giving them. So if we just say this is water harvesting, whatever it needs to be, is going there. To me, that makes sense. And any future like irrigated garden is in the upper bit
Yeah,
and potentially along the side here. I think that
Although, like, practically speaking, given how little either of us like to do yard work, whatever is in that gardening space is going to be fairly minimally irrigated anyway. So my
unless it
ideal
is
kind of
automatically
landscaping-
irrigated. Yes.
My ideal kind of landscaping is it needs almost no intervention from me. So Like even hiring people to deal with it, I would prefer that it need the minimal amount of attention. So,
Do you guys like blueberries? I could see a blueberry mini orchard there.
well, that would make my dad happy.
It's pretty
That
low maintenance.
he could finally have some blueberries growing somewhere.
What about fenced portions? Are you concerned? Would you want to be designing for a fence in any of this? For a dog?
I would assume that if we did, it would be in the back. But maybe that's just my,
Or the side.
yeah. I suppose I could see the fence part starting like under the overhang, that cantilever or something, but
I mean, the consideration is we're gonna have a fenced area. It should be connected to a door.
Would you ever do invisible fence?
mm,
The collar?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not one of these people who has a moral objection to putting those things on a dog. I just have met some dogs who are like, well, that was an interesting beeping noise followed by a momentarily startling sensation, and now I'm in the water.
Your dog has that opinion or that demeanor?
Willow, I think, would be trainable because he very quickly is like, oh, that's bad. But
Yeah.
Ivy would not have cared.
So it depends a lot on the dog,
Yes.
right? But yeah, I mean that's a possibility.
Right.
But like if we were going to have an area where we're going to leave the dog outside, I would want to be able to open the door and let the dog go out, and then shut the door and not have to like walk him halfway across the yard to put him in a fenced area.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is, I guess, not great because it's right in front of the house, but this is not super difficult.
Fence.
Yeah.
Well, just practically speaking, we might want to extend the fence under the overhang part on that side. No, the cantilever part,
Mhm.
because that would give a potential dog a place to go if there was inclement weather, which we currently don't have in our backyard. So, for example, Willow got left outside in the rain the other day, and he was very wet when he.
It means
Well, that's the slope, so I don't know how much that matters. But like,
yeah, I'm just trying the boundary, but it would mean like a little gate right here on the walk at some point.
well, I don't know that we need to have that fenced in. Like, I wasn't saying to extend it over towards the door, but just around the corner of the house, really.
But then you can't just let the dog out the front door. You have to like
Oh,
take it to a.
True. Well, anyway,
So something to ponder at any rate.
this is why I think the backyard might be easier to deal with, fencing wise.
Do you want to sort of put that on the back burner for now?
Yeah.
And deal with it later?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to influence anything design wise up front.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with that front like cistern area being available to the dog and being able to get under the overhang on the side. It's just a question of like how do you get the dog in there? And what does that
The
mean?
other thing that could happen is there could be, the back cantilevered area could be the covered part, and there could be a little, like, the dog could be let out through,
Here.
any of the downstairs things that give egress to the outside.
Oh,
But there could be a little gate
Yeah.
also coming, if you were walking towards the backyard from the parking area, there could be a little gate there
yeah,
into that patio area.
I agree. This is pretty easy one to do as well.
And, maybe extend the back part of the fence out into the backyard a little bit more than that, but
Yeah, on the edge of the
I like
patios.
this.
yeah, that would be fine. That would work.
Yeah, and you're not really running into any big trees until you get a fair bit deeper than that. So that seems
You're saying it would potentially extend further back this way.
yeah. Give the dog some like dirt, not just paved surface.
That's cool. Well, maybe I should model this.
Okay.
Or just like keep it in mind. I think that's a helpful kind of boundary to be looking at.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to think of like the things on my plate that I know to deal with. The formal thing is the roof option. How about kind of back to the floor plans? So we feel like the ground floor is sort of working.
Yeah.
No big comments.
We might make some tweaks to the storage in the workshop, but I think in terms of general plan, this makes good sense.
Second floor, do we like the general layout on the big bar? And do we have something we like better on the bedroom wing? Like, did you want to go back to any of the,
Yeah, can we go back to the colored floor plans to look at them for a second?
let's start at the top. I think the left corridor is too close.
To the stairs and to
To the plan that we have. That is basically
This
what-
one I liked, the sort of violet one, or hot pink or whatever this is. I liked the two little chairs looking out the window. that, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, so that's the kind of another category of thing for me to play with is what's the program of that projection?
Mhm.
So I can try breaking that up with multiple functions, like you're saying. And then, Mark, do you want me to show you what a deck as part of that would look like too?
I want you to show us that.
Okay. You just volunteered to be the barbecuer.
No, I want to see it. I want to see. I'm the only one who's likely to use the deck as like a deck area in addition to a place to park the grill. So I would like to see it.
I would never allow Dana to do the grilling.
Okay, cool. I will definitely explore some variations on what that pop out includes. Okay, for the bedroom wing.
Yeah, and we had this one with the bed facing that way and giving more of the extra space kind of to the sides instead of just an endless expanse at the foot of the bed. Seems to make better use of the space.
Yeah. So is it this versus the green?
Green.
Let me see. Yeah, it's that versus the green.
Mark, do you have thoughts?
So many.
Yeah. There was one where like the hallway came down the center, which obviously would interfere with the bed facing that direction, but that I kind of like, where was it?
That one.
Oh, well, that one has the seating area. Maybe it wasn't that one. Hold on. Was that the only one where it came down the center? It might be.
I think it was.
Okay.
Well, in my current model,
Right.
current model is this,
Yeah.
but we think that's got some awkwardness in it. So it's either green,
Mm-hmm.
which I do like. I like how it gave the length of the closet to fit the laundry. I was
Yeah.
struggling with that. Or this kind of like centered bed scheme.
Oh, this one, it has I was thinking of the way there were entrances to the closet and then to the. All right. So
Yeah,
maybe
powder
I
room and
inverted
stuff.
my understanding of the way it came into the different rooms. So
Mhm.
I do kind of like that one.
I mean, I could do both of these in 3D so you could have like a slightly better sense.
Sure.
You want me just to do that? Do you agree, Mark? You on board that these are like the two to add?
Yeah. I like the green. Except possibly for the relationship of the toilet and the shower. But like, I think this makes the bedroom a more reasonable size. I think it gives a generous bathroom that does not feel like a skating rink, which is nice. I like the closet and the laundry, and I think it is probably reasonable to have the two sides of the closet be so uneven in length because, be honest with ourselves for a minute. What I don't like about the green one is that it feels like you are giving up a lot of volume to hallway in a floor plan that on average doesn't need a lot of hallway.
What is the little thing on before the bathroom on that far wall? Yeah.
Here?
Yep.
Just storage,
Just storage. Okay.
built-ins.
That'd be really cool, like counter height, right? It's like, I
Mhm.
don't know, that would be a nice experience as you walk in and out of the bedroom.
I think it'd be a great
Doors,
experience.
yeah,
It just feels like, I mean, this ends up being,
the longest corridor.
yeah, it's just a lot of hall.
Yeah.
And in general, the way the house is laid out, you need very little hall.
Well,
I mean, that one ends up with a fair bit of hallway too. I mean, I guess it does happen, but I think green is worth exploring, and then magenta, whatever that one is.
the reddish one above it.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. I'll just put them both in 3D and then
Or some completely new brainwave idea that you have about another bedroom configuration that doesn't end up making space for a seating area that probably won't get used.
yeah, I get it.
We're open to that arrangement changing, I think.
Mhm. And how do you feel about how the pantry and the kitchen and the dining table self space? Does this feel really good to you? Are there more?
I like the pantry.
Mhm.
I like the bench or closet moment at the top of the stairs.
I do think that I have a preference for these ones that have more of the like public area right at the top of the stairs instead of the craft personal area.
Mm-hmm. What's your feeling on the like degree of separation between the craft and the living room?
That seems good to me.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can walk around that on both sides, I think is nice. It's better than it being more closed off.
I mean, I guess
In this case, I think it's about right because we have the TV there and like against that wall. Some of the other ones, if the television wasn't going to be oriented back towards the living room, I almost feel like that divider could be more transparent.
Mhm.
So like a bookcase that doesn't have a solid back, but it's just shelves to go through.
We can still play with that.
That doesn't make sense, but
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot more area here than a TV screen, so we can still play with that. I think.
Well, and I guess that wall doesn't have to be full height in it,
Totally.
unless it's supporting things.
structurally it needs to be full height.
I don't think it needs to support anything, but yeah, I can try that both ways. One stopping, one full height.
Yeah,
that's worth looking at.
And I agree with Tessa that the layout that put a screen in the living room, and if they're back to back, that
You like that option?
so sensible. Yeah. Like I don't know how much we would use that, honestly.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's supposed to be a television in the living room. Am I crazy there, Tessa?
I don't think you're crazy. I mean,
Could it?
I think it says something about the orientation of that L-shaped couch, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, like, you could play with furniture, but
Yeah.
no. Even if you're in the kitchen and this kitchen is oriented differently than how your kitchen is now, and there's like a race on or something that you're like have in the background as you're actually using the kitchen, seems nice.
Yeah. Although if we do have two TV options there back to back, that does argue for a full height wall, because then there will be less, like if both TVs are going, then you would want more audio separation there.
Yeah.
Let me show you some distances here. So,
My other point here is that I like the pantry, I like that living, dining, kitchen are together. Like I think that makes sense, and that makes that the public space.
Yeah.
And you get sort of the semi-private space of the like hobby craft area in the office, and then the like very private space of the master. That all makes sense to me.
Mhm.
It seems like this layout is going to make the most sense to put the range against the exterior wall, which means that again, I have this kitchen connected to the living space, and I stand with my back to the living space and my guests to cook. But you know,
I mean, the cooktop and the sink could switch too. So
yeah, totally. I just
that would line up better with the bathroom underneath for Zeb's plumbing.
yeah,
There we go.
Listen, I'm on Zeb's side for this. I think he's right. It makes it much easier.
my number one strong preference is to not put anything in this.
I agree with that.
And I also like, this is very sketchy, but I also think that this wall with no shit on it would look so fucking good. And to put like to pack that pantry with as much storage as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally kind of proposing that. I think that
So you would like no cabinets, nothing.
right. I think that this corner window has such power,
Mhm.
and it feels
Yeah,
Feels like an art.
from it.
Okay, so then let me ask another question then, which is, does that argue for or against putting the sink on that wall? Because for the sink, you're going to want a backsplash. And does that then require you to put something up onto the wall?
So the thing about backsplashes is that they weren't actually common until about 20 years ago. You don't need a backsplash. You need a properly finished wall that's not going to have water leaking down in a, like backsplashes just make the leak potential between the back of the counter and the wall less, but they're
Okay.
not structurally necessary for a kitchen. Older houses just don't have them at all. So
Yeah, fair enough then.
I personally
the
don't
whole wall
mind
can be treated with as one thing, right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have to be sheetrock. So.
the true. And I don't
I mean,
like
either the range or the sink, you might make different choices about what you put on the wall behind them.
yeah. And personally I think a backsplash is okay. And I think like, you know, if we feel like that wall is getting precious, like doing a flush backsplash could also be really cool too. And like I like having a durable thing back there that I can scrub, that I'm not worried about paint.
Yeah.
So I think that integrating the backsplash in that back wall doesn't scare me design wise. I think the wall can still feel, you know, we can pull that off.
And you would just, like, you wouldn't put a piece of art there. You would just,
he doesn't put art on any of his walls. Mark.
Good observation. Yeah, I think the art is the corner window. Like what more art do you want?
I was trying to talk you into the art. I wasn't sure I understood.
The only possible thought I have about moving the sink over there and putting the range on the other wall is that puts the range on the far side of the kitchen from the fridge.
Which is
So-
fine, because I
It's
never
fine.
go straight from the fridge to the cooktop. I go from the fridge to the counter to chop stuff up, and then it goes on the heat.
Well, then there you go.
I mean, there's one, and then the other factor is Zeb's favorite topic of the hood situation, the venting situation.
Yeah.
And that can be a variable that we don't decide for like a long time. There's something like flexible about this, just to throw it out there. If the range is on this side and you end up wanting a hood, there's a flexibility in having this wall and like making this sort of a more solid thing and actually putting an overhead hood there if you wanted that functionality. If the range is going where the sink is right now, you're doing
You don't want anything up there because it's blocking the window.
You're doing a downdraft thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing overhead. Just keep in mind the.
Go on, Zeb, say it out loud.
I mean, I'm an advocate for the downdraft thing. I mean, I had downdraft in one of my houses and it was done very poorly and didn't really work. But I had a friend that had a house. The range itself had a thing like it was built into the cooktop where it came up out. When you fired up the cooktop, like this vent thing came up like 6 inches out of the back of it, and it was super effective.
Yeah, Dana's parents had that, but then it busted, and now
And then it broke. Right.
But that was partly because their cleaning lady was so incompetent. She kept putting water in all of the electronics. So I don't know how representative it is.
But I mean, man, I know Ben would too, and Tessa would as well, because we try to hide vent. Like, just God, they just suck.
There's no reason to be made into a decorative.
Yeah, and everybody wants to make these things fucking like yeah. Anyway,
I don't need to see it. I just needed to get the smoke out of my face.
100%. And like, if you can I think with a little bit of research, like that whole down vent draft venting is the way to go. I would know.
Yeah, cool, perfect.
And then that saves Ben's wall too. I have to put any extra little things up there.
Or did your video only disappear for me? Or
No, I turned it off.
Okay.
Give me a minute. I'm still here.
Another dimension I was like that I was a little unsure about is this dimension from like base of this TV cabinet to the love seat or whatever, the TV watching stuff.
Did you get the link I sent?
Oh, the watching distance. Yeah, sorry, I did not look at it. But isn't the size of your TV going to be variable?
Yeah.
So what feels good to you? Like from the front of the couch, it's 5 feet, and the sofa is like 3 feet deep here, so it's like 8 feet to the back.
Right. So you know our loft in this house. That
Okay.
is just about right.
Yeah, it's like 8
what is that distance?
days.
You've got the measurements of it on that PDF. I think it's there you go. So loft is basically 12 foot square.
So the TV's on one wall and the
9
sofa's
feet.
about 3 feet deep or
Is
something.
the TV on this wall?
Yeah.
Yep.
And is your couch all the way backed up?
Yep.
Yep.
So I have 8 feet, so I'm 4 feet off. Can you go closer? Or is that uncomfortable? But so let me
Well,
just
and the thing is, like, if Mark is actually sitting behind the table there instead of on the couch, that's added
That's true.
distance. So
Yep.
if he's mostly sitting back there, he may actually prefer the distance it is now.
Also,
So,
Ben,
yeah.
measure from the wall, not from the niche kick out, for the TV niche kick out. Because what is that? How deep is
great
it?
point. So yeah, I'm like 9'7" if you go to the back of the niche.
Yeah, because the TV's
Okay.
going to be mounted on the wall anyway.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
naturally
So
so.
that-
Yeah, no, I think it looks better mounted on the wall. You don't see the cables, the
Yeah.
stand in the way.
Well, it's pretty close. You're
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. The other question I have for you, Ben, is so we've got that table with the 2 seats. So like you can sit on the couch or you can sit at like the crafting station in front of the TV.
Yep.
Cool. Does that middle table need to be there?
Yeah, no strong opinions. No strong opinions. I just
How-
threw the shit
how
in
the
there.
rest of that is arranged as
Yeah.
just up to
Yeah.
storage and like whatever is going to be. I mean, it
But
could
just
be
like if
good
you're
for,
feeling
like-
starved for space on the other side, that may be an option.
But I think that's good if we needed like a place to do a lot of cutting of things, because if there's ever like fabric cutting or large paper cutting or something, having space on both sides of the table in case it needs to overhang is always good. But yeah, I mean, it could be just like,
I mean, this could be smart too, because this then lets you have chairs that have more direct natural light access if you wanted to be close to the window. So yeah, I did not put a lot of time or thought into like the arrangement of this stuff. To me, it feels really tight. Like we're trying to fit a lot of cables in here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
4 feet between these guys. That's
Yeah.
why,
that does get a little tight.
like when I did this L shape, this actually felt good.
Yeah, I like that.
And by the way, these are long. I mean, like this table behind the sofa is 11 feet. That guy's. These are big tables.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I guess my other question is the craft area slightly raised? Since there is wall all the way around it, is that slightly raised up so the person sitting behind the table, behind the couch, able to see over? Like, could that whole craft area be one step up?
I got you.
Because I think if it's just like one step up, that doesn't get into making the ceiling feel too low there or anything.
Just to buy like a better
Better potential view over the couch.
viewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah, plus then you got almost like now you're making like almost a little conversation pit, like little like 70s
Uh-huh.
little thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And if the table behind the couch needed to be a little bit shorter, that could allow for like floor to ceiling storage things on that other wall, etc. Like there's lots of stuff that could be done in there, I think, with that amount of space.
It's true. Like even you could not raise the floor, and you could just do like a bar height table and chairs. That also elevates you.
Ergonomically, that has questions though, because for things like when you're doing any kind of art where you're sitting for a long time, just not knowing this from the craft school, being able to keep both of your feet completely flat on the floor is going to be better on your legs.
Do you
I'm not sure that a bar height chair, well, I mean, it probably just depends on what the chair, how the chair is designed, but I'm not sure that that's the right solution for that.
Okay. I have like my tendency is to make everything counter height, but do you I think we talked about that. You like a standard dining table height, like 30 inches, right? I have everything shown at 36.
For eating at or for working at?
Well, yeah, my question's for both. For your dining table, you want standard dining table height?
I would say
Right.
Yes. I think so.
I'm just
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with counter height, but I think on average Dana prefers a table height.
does that affect is your classes? Do
I
they
mean,
play
just
into that?
from a teaching perspective, I would prefer to teach at a standard height table, just because it encourages people to have slightly better posture.
Okay, 30 inches. And then how about your work tables?
The work tables, I think,
Counter height?
Yeah.
36. Okay.
I mean, so some of those, would you guys ever want any of those tables to be adjustable
Yes.
yes.
or have the ability to move up and down?
Yes.
Yeah, I think once we get into the details of the craft room, I have a lot of opinions about how adjustable things should be and what different kinds of table surfaces should be and stuff.
Well, just in general, like not having me hunched over a miniature if I can get it up here is like
Yeah.
a big quality of life improvement for me. So
I don't know if
absolutely have that
the-
conversation.
the height of the table is going to do that, or if you're going to have to put something on top of the table to get it up there, because you do still need somewhere to rest your elbows.
Yeah.
And you don't want them above your shoulders. So
Almost never. I gotta hold on to my head to keep them up where I got them right now.
So here's like when I see this move we just did with the U-shaped tables, I'm like, oh, now we have square footage we just
Right,
purchased.
right.
I'm like, should we shrink your craft area to give more to your living room? Is that a valid thought, or do you want to preserve this?
I mean, it already looks like the living room is better than or bigger than the one we have. So
So from the table to like the edge of the rug is about 4 feet, and then like so this is like, actual. Well, let's go from the table. So subtract 4 feet from this. So that's 14 feet of like actual furniture space.
Mhm.
I would be in this layout. I'd be inclined to make that 16 feet and steal 2 feet from your craft.
Yeah.
Agreed.
My other question for you: how wide is the office at the narrow spot?
Yes, I did mention that. I think in your plan. I think I did 6 feet.
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah, that's like it looks narrow just
Yeah.
from this perspective, but 6 feet is plenty of room on the.
yeah. I think it's working
I
out.
feel like the walls are closing in on me there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think it's crazy to suggest that we would want room in this U shape to put a chair that way
the other direction, or have chairs like move around
in this orientation, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that you need room to. Like, I don't think you need to sit at all of these positions simultaneously. If we had two of the right chair and they moved around to wherever we were working on stuff, I think that's fine. And I think that means you can probably afford to narrow that U a little bit, and that's okay.
I mean, I think we could narrow the U and make this guy like I was doing this like an office desk. Like that's only 2 feet. So you can take him back to 3 feet and steal 2 feet from the.
Yeah.
That's 2 feet.
Yeah, I think that'll be much better for what ultimately the furniture arrangement's gonna have to be.
Mhm.
Get off that TV.
Mm-hmm. I think not. How about the dining table? Do you like it being closest to the kitchen? In some of the schemes, I was putting like the sofa, the sitting area closer to the kitchen.
right. But I think this makes sense.
I think I'm indifferent. Either seems fine.
Well, let's just look at it super quick. As we can.
I'll be right back.
I guess it makes the TV watching weird on that wall.
Yeah.
Yes, this would flip.
Yeah, I probably probably wouldn't bother with the TV in this arrangement. Because in order to get it where you see it from the couch and you weren't looking over the dining room table, you would have to put it in front of the window, which is like clearly the wrong choice. Or like turn your back to the window and watch the TV, which also feels weird. Yeah. So I think in this arrangement, the TV becomes vastly less important.
There's something nice about, let me undo that. Like if the couch is a primary place, it's sort of nice to have the perspective in front of you of the whole room.
Mhm.
Whereas if it's over here in the corner of the sofa, you only get kind of like half that
Yeah.
space to experience. So I think
Yeah.
I'll lean toward this. Mhm.
I mean, I assume that you would adjust the position of that window in the craft area, having gone with this. Like, there's some other stuff that happens there, but
Yep.
play with that.
Yep.
Without having to have all of us stare at you while you do it.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So I think I know the things to play. I'm going to be playing with the pop out and what functions that has. I'm exploring a couple variations on the primary suite arrangement. I'm testing the roof. It's kind of like the three main things.
Okay. Cool.
That feel right?
Is it time for elementary school dinner?
I'm told that we're going out to eat tonight, so I just need to be ready by the time everybody else is. So
Okay.
Ben, having tried it, do you feel like you want to play around with flipping that wing of the house, or was that sort of that was interesting and now I'm done with that?
Well, I hadn't even really. Let's see if we can do something super fast here.
Okay.
It was basically shoving it.
it does look like my mom is out of the shower, so I have until she's done drying her hair.
Okay.
That would allow you to move that retaining wall back. That's nothing else.
Like look how close. Like when I think of this tree, this is the big oak.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're insanely close to that.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
pushing into the forest back there.
You
And
had just drawn that. You had drawn it that way, and my question for you was just like, did you see enough promise there that you want to play around with that, or was that just sort of a here's an interesting thing I tried and now have decided not to do?
Yeah, I think you're just looking at an abandoned idea. I don't. I don't think it has legs. I feel like what's precious is the hug with the forest, and I feel like we all felt the reasonable location for that back wall plane to be at. I think that's kind of the guiding light, and
Yep.
I don't want that to move a whole lot.
Yeah,
because I think main focus is puppy. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that
Wait.
looks great so far.
Good deal. Well, yeah, I'll have those things for our next call.
All right.
Do we have any homework?
Good question. Thanks for asking. No, I don't think so. Oh, to look at the in this PDF, I think it'd be very helpful for you to look at like all these dimensions, just so you start to be familiar with them and see if any stand out to you as feeling weird.
Okay.
Good.
I mean, obviously the big one is like, what's the width of these wings? And it's 22 feet right now.
Mhm.
And really the big constraint is on the main wing fitting in the stair and kind of the passage width to get back around, and then the depth of your living space. And I feel like it is working. To me, it feels right. I think that it would, let me just, like to me, where you feel that the most is like in the kitchen. And right now I have like 4 feet, 4 inches here between that wall and the peninsula. I think that feels okay. If it were less than 4 feet, I'd start to feel different.
You have an ADA violation?
Yeah.
Less than 4, right?
Yeah.
4 feet is the
No,
or is it
3.
3?
Yeah. Like 3 feels very bare minimum. I think we should be right around 4. And this peninsula is 8'2". I think that feels pretty generous, or 10 feet 2 to the wall. So I think that's the dimension that to me is feeling pretty good.